Welcome back everybody to Buyer's Blueprint, and in this video I'm going to be talking about credit checks, credit pulls, whatever you want to call them, hard pull versus soft pull, and how that what that means for your credit, what its implications are, because they're very different, and they stay on your credit report for different lengths of time, and one affects your credit, one doesn't. So I'll tell you who looks at them, who pulls them, and what their implications are for your credit. So firstly, you'll have a soft pull, and then here you'll have a hard pull. And the difference, most basically, in a hard pull, it's you applying for some form of credit, money, loan, mortgage, visa increase. Although actually, if you've been with the visa, let's say, for a very long time, they might not do a hard pull. They might only do a soft pull because they've already got a relationship with you. They just want to sniff around to see if there's any other troubles, maybe like some sort of maybe you've gone bankrupt, or maybe there's some sort of a judgment against you. These things are important for increasing credit limits. And also, if you ever get a notice in the mail that says, "Oh, your credit's been reduced," it's because they did a soft pull on you and found that they didn't like what they saw, and so they actually pulled back your credit on that visa or line of credit and what have you. So, and one of the things that can affect your credit score is the hard pulls. So, soft pull is by others, if you can read my writing there, and then the hard pull is by you. So, the hard pull will stay on your credit report depending on which credit report agency it is. In general terms, for 6 years, depending on what state or province you're in. Sometimes it's 7, but they'll stay on for six years. So they stay on for 6 years. The hard ones, the soft pulls, they're not less important, but they don't affect your credit score at all. But people will still like to see who's been sniffing around your credit, and the name is written down there. There's a section in your credit report for inquiries, it's called, and it just literally it'll go down. I've seen credit reports with, credit agencies always will keep the last 6, even if there's only been 6 in the past 6 years. There's nothing more to add. Or like 20 years, they'll only keep the 6 because they want to see, people want to see, oh, whoa, there's a really old date. This guy never applies for credit, which isn't always a good thing either, right? You need to be active with your credit. Going to be using it so that people know how you use your credit and how you pay them back, right? Your credit lines. So, soft pulls, they will stay on for 2 years, depending on what state or province you're in. Sometimes it's 1 year, but it's 2 years. And so it does not affect your credit score at all. You got to have 1,000 credit, checks. You wouldn't be 1,000, but you got to have 10, and your score will be exactly the same. So here's where it gets interesting. And so yes, it does on the hard pull, and this is how it works. Credit reporting agencies know that people need to credit shop when you're going to buy something like a car or a house, or maybe you're going for a line of credit. You want to get the best terms at the best bank, or what have you, and maybe see how much they're willing to offer you, on some sort of a pre-approval. So they know that you'll get many inquiries in a certain amount of time, a certain period of time. So what they do is they give you 2 weeks. So you could go, not that I recommend this because you don't need to do this, but you could go to 10, 20 different banks, and they'll all pull your credit because you're applying for something. Or you can go to an agency and they'll shop your credit for you at many different lenders, and each one of those lenders will be required to pull your credit. It's a fraud prevention and so on and so forth, whiteout approval fluid. You scratch out a 500 score and put in an 800, hey, you're approved. So anyways, they've got to pull their own credit pull on you. So each agency the agency that sends it out to each lender will then pull your report. So you could have 20 pulls on your credit in a 2-week period, but your score provider, whether it's Experian or Equifax or what have you, will only count it as 1 pull. And so here is how it affects your score. So if you have a very thin, what they call thin credit, not many trade lines, not much credit limit, you've only been reporting to that agency for 1 or 2 or 3 years, one credit pull by you, hard credit pull, will affect your score greatly. Well, not greatly, but larger than someone who has many credit lines and perhaps been reporting with that agency for 20 years, and they've got many varied kinds of credit, right? So those two people applying for a car loan, a $20,000 car loan, the person with thin credit, it'll probably affect their score close to 10 points. And the person with thick credit, thick and rich credit, they say, will affect it maybe 2 to 3. But the good news is the hard pulls, they'll only affect your score for 1 to 2 months. So after you've done your shopping within a 2-week period, and you've had the 20 people check your credit, and you've applied, and you decide, guy number 18, that's the one I'm going to go with. Perfect. And you sign up, and it's done within the 2-week period. Your score will go down as if it was only one pull, either the 2 all the way up to 7, 8 points on the thinner credit. But here's where it can get, and this is where it's important, especially with automotive applications. So when you sign an application for credit to buy the car at that store, oftentimes the business manager doesn't even see your score. They don't even pull it. They don't see it. They don't care. They send your score. They send your credit application out to, let's say, 20 different lenders, from prime to subprime. From 4% all the way down to 30% interest loans, and then they just wait. They wait to see what comes in as an approval. So, and you say, well, Paul, it's okay because they can send it out to 100 different places and only affect my score once. Yes, except when, now don't forget that those hard pulls are going to stay on for 6 years. So the danger is that you might start to look like a credit seeker to anybody who will then pull a softer hard credit check on you. If your inquiries list is, and I've seen it, 2 pages long, they're not going to give you a loan because they're wondering what you're doing. They're wondering why you're making that decision. And they're wondering why you haven't been approved for the loan that you were looking for, right? Did you only get super subprime offers, or could you not afford it? Whatever the reason, people are generally less interested to give you a loan when you've been seeking credit for too long or too many times. So here's where it gets dangerous with automotive lenders. So you go into dealership A, they search you out like crazy. They do 20 different lenders, and they come up with an approval, and you're like, oh, I don't know, it's a really expensive rate. I don't know, that makes the payment too expensive. I'm gonna skip it. So then a couple weeks goes by, 2 weeks goes by, and you see now in the paper, hey, this car's $100 less. It's $1,000 less. I'm gonna go into that dealership and see if because it's $1,000 less, maybe they can get me approved for the payment that I can afford, $600 instead of $700, or $700 instead of $1,000, whatever, $200 instead of $300. I'm gonna see, So then you go to the second dealership and they run your credit again. Here's where the trouble is. And they run it through, 10, 15, 20 different lenders, right? So here's where the trouble goes. Since it's outside of that 2-week window for your shopping spree that the credit agency allows you to have, it's outside of that 2-week period. Now what they do is they separate each individual pull and deduct the points as if you did it individually each time. So the first, let's say it's 2, just so it's easier for my math. So let's say it was 2 points it's going to deduct from your score, and the first place checked out 20. Well, 2 carry the 7, that's 40 points. And then the second set of pulls on that dealership you went to 3 weeks later, another 20, another 40, 80. Now your score is going to go down to 80 points for a couple months. Plus, you're going to have 40 credit checks on your report in the inquiries section. And now, whenever whether you take the loan or not, the next time you go to get a loan for anything, whether it's an increased limit on your visa or a mortgage, what have you, everyone looking at your report is going to see, wow, 40 pulls, all for automotive. This, what is this guy doing? Why didn't he get the loan? What's going on? So That's why it's very important, because if you shop outside the 2-week window, you're going to get dinged individually for each pull, and that can add up to a lot, especially if you don't have the best credit, right? That was 80 points at stellar credit, 2 points per pull. What if it was 6, 7? I can't even do the math. It's a lot of points. You're going to have such a low score for several months that you won't get a loan for a ham sandwich. So hard and soft, and and then the 2-week window shopping. If I've missed anything, or if you've got a question for me, I'm happy to answer it. Leave the questions in the comments below. I will get back to every question. And thank you for watching. Subscribe and like, and all of that good stuff. Thanks again. Talk to you soon. Bye.